Back to the top of the story we'd know if we gave sight to the story the right. Live stream night unfolds gory in short, but we can't know to fight, to look below without a show. Up and down places to go, though attribute no laughs to our own. We sat us two to know no more than a stone. Is it the few past that we had to loan? We could ask a yearly ring around a bone. Good shakes grace the dead. Ain't nothing more to be said about that. While I grace the living, good shakes grace the dead. Ain't nothing more to be said about that. So shut your mouth. While I grace the living, here screen now, channels history when we were collapsively determined first in sophistry, then at time lapse I'll wait to see if it would be years, centuries, more than three. I don't know how it could be. The moon is anti-existentially manifesting retroactively. It threatens my existence. See, what if it manifests on me? Their non-existence, and what would I be? Alienate among the rash and desperate rivals who crashed to earth, made finality. And that was host Eric with Good Shakes Grace the Dead, the new hit single from the album Shaky Dead Goody Grace. And we're talking today about intentionality. We're discussing the ways in which an individual expresses agency by intending and or not intending. I was considering the topic or title of this video to be intentionality, make-believe, or foundation of universe. Imaginary attribute or foundation of the universe. That's the two possibilities. Either a completely imaginary attribute or it's the foundation of the universe. So which is it? Nobody knows except for me, and I'm going to tell you right now. I'm not sure I know either, but I'm going to try to tell you. Why am I pulling this bong rip right now? Is it to demonstrate the point of intentionality? Is it to show you that, look, hey, I decided to pull a bong rip. It's a good example of a discussion of intentionality, of making a conscious single choice, an act, a concrete act. It's of limited scope and time. However long it took to smoke the bong rip, a couple seconds, And it's a distinct event. I breathed it in and breathed it out. The next bong rip is going to be a different bong rip. So it's discrete in that regard, distinct, and it's short duration, something we can repeat easily enough. It's a good example to use. So is that why I chose to take a bong rip right there? To demonstrate the example? Is that what made me choose bong rip as an example of something to demonstrate? Nope. Did I have a plan to do this going into this video? No, I did not. My topic was intention, and the things I was thinking about going into this video were basically, okay, well, I want to talk about how intention is kind of a false criterion to use if we're talking about more issues of moral agency. I was thinking about, and we're going to get into that in a second. But what ended up happening is I started that song, I was listening to it, and then I decided I wanted to start the video by having that song going underneath it first. And then I was listening to the song and starting the video, and I thought, okay, I should pull a bong rip. So and that's where extroverted intuition and introverted thinking and whatever else I use in my brain went and said, oh, link that. Just use that as the example. And if you want to make sure that it works well, demonstrate how it's an effective example by doing the thing and then by explaining very clearly why it's a good example to use. But then explain, as I'm doing now, that you didn't intend to do that in the first place, but rather that you intended to just start a video about intention and ended up thinking bong rip, ended up making the link, and then ended up making this explanation that you're hearing right now. How much of that was intended in the moment when I made that link? Not very much, just, oh, this is an example. And then, well, now what to do with it? Next, what next, what next, what next, what next? And there's lots of possibilities spread out in front of me. But pretty soon, as I see a couple paths, it's like, oh, it's a blue one, it's a blue one. Oh, it's going to be a blue thing, right? An equivalent. It's not actually how I mentally cognate it. It's an analogy, and it would be the equivalent of that sort of thing. So, in fact, this one played out to be a meta exercise, both demonstrating the nature, definitionally, of intention, which is often misconstrued. Where does the intention come in then? Is the next question on this chain. And as you can see, as I'm freestyling this, I almost went down the wrong path and went whoop, back over here. So I've got an odd transitional moment there, and this little spin around shit that's going on right now, and then hopefully back forward towards the destination when I go. So when is the decision made? That's the core issue. If I did make the link, I could use this as an example. At the same time I made the decision, as far as I can tell. And then the subsequent decisions follow from that. They're necessitated by the fact that never leaves the flow. It doesn't. That's the beautiful thing about video, is it makes it clear what it should be clear in all aspects of life. There is a flow. I can't pretend the beginning of this video didn't happen. And just, if I do, people will point that out. They'll say, at the beginning of this video, Eric, you said it was about chickens, but you spent the whole time talking about pineapples. Why is that? They'll say, are you trying to deceive us? And I could say, oh, I just forgot what I was talking about, which is fine. I mean, I do say that all the time. I'm not disputing the validity of that happening, nor that you should be like reduced to a bad video status because that happens necessarily. You can still be entertained. There's lots of other reasons why you might want to watch a video, but you can't just pretend that it's the same thing to ignore what came before in a video as it is to follow up on it. In that regard, intentionality seems laid down as a underlying foundation beneath all of this behavior here, when mixed with two preceding decisions, one to talk about intentionality and the other to pull that bong rip. One of those decisions made sense on a larger frame. Like, I do videos like this. It fits into an existing structure of things that I do, and so it makes sense to do it. The other thing only makes sense within the substructure of that around here, you can do that shit. You can do whatever you want. Nobody cares. It's fine. Talking with famous people. We embrace your autonomy before just about everything else. Not absolutely everything else, but before just about everything. So anyway, that's the moral of this story. I intend, and you can see how frameworks work there a bit too. I intend at the top level framework to maximize autonomy, to maximize the optimization of moral human agency. And I also intend to make a video about intention. Why? Well, it's under the subset of that general category, I guess, at the top, that I have a moral vision and a clear, established... My phone is blowing up like crazy right now. It's distracting me. But I intend to follow through right now. I mean, I make the decision here to follow through on this intention video and not pay attention to my phone until I'm done with it. I'm almost done with it anyway. And this will be the completion of an act of will that is purposed under multiple layers of framework. One, my sort of general philosophical thing of that. Two, on an emotional level, I like attention. I want to be thought of as smart. I want to be thought of as being good at stuff. And so there's that. Those intention, like top level framings. There's sub level framings, like it's what I've been thinking about lately, and it links in well with something we talked about in LD class. It was about agency as a value that somebody else wrote, not me. It was not an idea I came up with. It was something I saw demonstrated, and I was like, that's consistent with what we've been talking about. And I'm glad to see that there's something else, somebody else out there I can use besides just myself. Anyway, all these frameworks linked in to make that moment occur metaphysically. These are metaphysical causes of the moment when I did what? pulled that bong rip. And these are the metaphysical impacts of that moment when I pulled that bong rip. When I decided to make this video and executed the couple of key steps were start recording. Key step number 2 was pull that bong rip. And then everything else is sort of discourse emerging from the fabric of the history of everything I've said before in my life, the history of everything I've made a video about before, the history of all of human civilization. Things get mushed out like that so much that it becomes meaningless to draw distinctions. And that's why one might argue either way, either that intentionality is a make-believe bit of nonsense, or that intentionality is the underlying foundation of all of human existence and the universe itself, and probably be right in both cases. Thanks for watching Talking with Famous People. If I do say so myself, I think that was probably a pretty clean video, although sometimes when I watch back, I'll be like, nah, it wasn't. But I intend to watch back now. I didn't intend to say this. I regret saying this last little part. I wish I hadn't done it. Am I saving it right now? Maybe. We'll see. Probably not. I better just shut the fuck up and stop the video.